Hello, my name is Marguerite Flores. Thank you for watching my presentation on the linguistic choices made by English-speaking gay men. My research paper and my presentation are both titled Sending Signals, Linguistic Features of Gay Men's Speech. I was steered to this topic by my curiosity in the linguistic cues that can signal membership to a gender identity. In my first investigations, I came across some articles on the linguistic features of gay men's speech, and as I read on and on, I continued to come across different terms for what I was starting to think was the same thing. Some research called it gay speech, others called it gay English, or queer speak, or lavender language, and I decided to do a literature review on research that investigates data concerning how linguistic variables interact with the gay experience. My driving focus questions were: what are the linguistic features that signal the gay community? And how did they come to be? And how have they changed over time? After researching this topic, I can conclude that many of the terms used for this language code are misleading, as the data supports the idea that there is gay code, but not gay language. Research in this area often mirrors the cultural ideologies surrounding homosexuality at the time of publication. Though homosexuality has been around for a very long time, the word homosexuality in research of the English language does not actually appear until a medical publication included a lexicon of English language used by members of the homosexual community in a medical discourse. And in this medical discourse, homosexual language is described as exclusive and incomprehensible to members of the outgroup of the quote unquote normal community. There is a shift in the research in the 1960s, and the 1960s also sees a shift in the cultural ideologies as the Stonewall riots bring global attention not only to the gay community, but also to the gay identity. In Mockenbacher's study of interviews of gay men before and after Stonewall, data shows that even the terms used to distinguish heterosexuals from homosexuals went from the words homosexual and normal to homosexual and straight, pre and post Stonewall. With this cultural shift, research shifts to include more serious scientific study in the fields of sociology and anthropology. And in some places, this has been shifted full swing into a situation where an individual or a group will use gay issues or gay symbology to promote their own agenda. And this has been coined pinkwashing and has even been done by entire nations. Identity has a complex relationship with gay language studies. Many early studies posit that the creation of a gay language is the product of individuals' pursuit of a group identity, of a gay community, basically. Further research posits that in doing this, the gay community establishes an in-group language that can be distinguished by the in-group, but not by the out-group. And still others have supported the notion that a gay language is a product of a subgroup, attempting to create a language that is not pejorative. And this idea that a minority group would adopt in-group features of a language is not novel or wrong, but it did lead to some problems in this topic of research. For example, Kulik claims that some researchers have taken this to support the claim that these linguistic tags compiled and used by the gay community come together to constitute a language. Researchers have gathered many linguistic tags used both by the gay community and used to describe and label the gay community. According to Holmes and Wilson, linguistic tags are linguistic clues that can signal a speaker's ethnic or social background. One of the first groups of linguistic tags that I looked at were labels used to identify members of this community. Each tag comes with a history and a present day semantic meaning. And some, if not most, of these words can be used derogatorily, but some of them have also been reclaimed by the gay community and have undergone inversion to have a more positive meaning. Some gay men use feminine forms when speaking, especially to other gay men. And I will discuss this in further detail later in the presentation. Next, I looked at research that investigates linguistic tags that reflect the gay experience. Some of these tags are known and used by members of both the in group and the out group. These are words like butch, camp, closet, and queen. There are also linguistic tags that are far less known to the out group. And there are even some linguistic tags that are not known universally within the in group. Some linguistic tags have been shown to be regional. These are terms like box and basket, both of which refer to male genitalia. In the pursuit of my focus question on how gay English has changed over time, I found an excellent study by Mockenbecker. In his study, he uses corpus data from interviews of gay men that were compiled both before and after Stonewall. And then he organized that information on a timeline so that he could analyze it. Here are some of the key points from his results. Pre-Stonewall, gay men often used I, me, and my when discussing their lives, whereas post-Stonewall, we and our are used more often, as well as you. But it's important to know that you was used to refer to the whole group. Mockenbecker claims that this supports the notion that after Stonewall, the gay community really began to form, and that this is represented linguistically through this data. As further support for that claim, he also notes that the community tags like bar, community, movement, political, and liberation are very key post-Stonewall and non-existent pre-Stonewall. He also argues that Stonewall marks a turning point in the genderedness of gay speech. And he uses the data that pre-Stonewall gendered words like boy, girl, woman, man, girls, wife, and mother were key and present, whereas post-Stonewall data includes words like people, lover, and kids, and parents. However, it also includes words like guy, guys, mom, and dad. But Mockenbecker suggests that this represents a norm of the narrator's parents' generation, rather than their own perception, rather than the narrator's perception. As I mentioned earlier, feminine forms are linguistic tags that gay men have in their repertoire. This particular linguistic feature of gay speech has attracted a lot of attention. One of the ways that gay men use feminine forms is when they refer to each other. And they refer to each other with the use of feminine pronouns like she and her. Researchers have noted that this is far more common among gay men who are publicly out or gay men who are in spaces that are gay spaces, where presumably the speaker feels safer. These are spaces like gay bars or gay neighborhoods, or even just in and around a group of other gay men. Gay men have also demonstrated the use of feminine vocabulary, using words like divine. Researchers have also gathered data on gay men's use of female terms to refer to each other. These are words like Mary, bitch, sister, queen, girl, and woman, but it's pronounced like woman. Some have argued that many of these terms express negative and even derogatory attitudes towards women. For example, Penelope and Wolf in their 1981 book, Sexist Slang and the Gay Community. There are also other language forms and strategies that have been identified as part of the gay man's repertoire. Goodwin's research on this topic covers both verbal and nonverbal strategies. Quickly, the nonverbal strategies include manner of dress, like wearing earrings and pinky rings and bandanas, and also occupying gay spaces, like going to gay bars. Goodwin's examples of Other verbal strategies are the use of humor, puns, and double entendres. He argues that a quick wit and a strong humor are valued skills in the gay community, though I feel that those are valued skills in most communities. Goodwin also discusses ambiguity and inversion, both of which offer their own advantages and disadvantages for the speakers. For example, ambiguity offers the speaker plausible deniability concerning what they mean by what they said. And this can be useful in circumstances where the speaker maybe isn't able to infer the listener's perceptions or doesn't know how the listener is going to react. And additionally, ambiguity gives the listener the choice to hear what they want to hear. So if they're going to be offended by something that was said, they can choose not to have heard that meaning. However, this also comes with drawbacks. For example, the speaker's message may go completely undetected by the listener. Inversion also comes with advantages and disadvantages. The most obvious advantages are what was once pejorative and perhaps hurtful is turned into something more positive with a more positive message. A good example of this is simply the word gay, as it comes prepackaged with a positive connotation. However, as I discussed previously, some inversions used by this group have been criticized for being derogatory to other groups. Hajek's 2014 study on interviews provided by older gay men give us some insight into how the linguistic markers of the gay experience are affected by age. In these interviews, participants were asked to speak about conversations that they had with other gay men their age, conversations they had with younger gay men, and their own age identity. What Hajek found was that much of the language used by older gay speakers was influenced by the older gay experience and rooted in this idea of getting older. Some linguistic tags that fall into that category are silver daddies, which is a linguistic response that aims to combat the negative feelings of going gray. Old dumpy bear was used to describe an older gay man who is not taking care of his physique or his dress. Boy, spelled with an I, used to describe an older man pretending to be a younger man. And the same is true of barfly, with this connotation that a barfly stays out late like a younger man would at a bar. And there's TOFA, which stands for too old for Abercrombie, specifically referring to older men who dress like the younger generation. Another interesting finding from this study is the perception that older gay men have concerning the linguistic abilities of younger gay men. A significant amount of the participants in this study reported that younger gay men lack subtlety in their language choice, that they are too frank and forward, lack a filter, and have a tendency to share information online about others that is none of their business. I wonder if these are examples that represent differences between older gay men and younger gay men, or general generational differences. So there are popular stereotypes about the way gay men speak. Researchers have tried to pinpoint what it is about the way gay men speak that distinguishes them from straight men. This research covers many different linguistic features, including pitch range and intonation patterns and the gay lisp. And because the stereotypes are so integrated into society, many people feel that they can identify a gay person just by listening to them speak. One of the studies I investigated on this topic is Levon's 2006 study called Hearing Gay: Prosody, Interpretation, and the Affective Judgment of Men's Speech. In this study, Levon manipulates linguistic conditions in order to determine whether the participants would accurately perceive the speaker's sexual identity. The linguistic features manipulated in the study were pitch range and sibilant duration. Results showed that neither had an influence on the listener's perceptions of the speaker's sexual identity. However, the participants could still correctly identify the gay speakers, suggesting that there are other factors which listeners use to identify sexual identity. Another study investigated was Mack and Munson's 2012 study, investigating explicit and implicit measures of the gay lisp stereotype. First of all, the gay lisp isn't a lisp, but rather speech production errors for the S and Z sounds. in different ways, like deletions or substitutions or distortions. Results of this study show that when speakers use non standard ways to pronounce these phonemes, that speaker is marked as gay. This could offer evidence for marked gayness in speech, but it may also offer evidence for non standard language use in the gay community. What is also important to note is that some studies have shown that linguistic features that are perceived to be gay can be and are spoken by outgroup members. So I conclude that there are clearly linguistic tags signaling membership or reference to the gay community. However, these linguistic features are patterned according to social factors, and they are known to and used by both in group and out group members. Additionally, they are not universal among the in group members. So, based on the data available, I conclude that there is gay code, but not gay language. Further research could focus on the study of other groups in the LGBT plus community and can also aim to collect speech that occurs in more natural gay settings. Thank you for listening to my presentation on sending signals, linguistic features of gay men's speech.